Hello everyone, welcome back to online lecture series on fluid mechanics and hydraulic machines. Today we are into our second lecture of this video series. So first of all, we will do a quick revision of our previous topics. So our first chapter is fluid and their properties. We started with the property density. It is a ratio of mass of fluid to the volume of fluid, and based on the whether the density is constant or not, we can classify fluids into two categories. First is liquid and second is gas. So in case of liquids, the density remains constant, that is, liquids are incompressible fluids, and in case of gases, density changes, that's why they are called as compressible fluids. The unit of density is kg per meter cube. Now the next part was viscosity. Now in case of viscosity, it is related to the resistance that is being offered between one layer of fluid over another layer of fluid. So whenever fluid is moving, there is a resistance between two consecutive layers. As we can see here, that this is the fluid flow from left to right, and it is passing over this plate. So what happens that there is always some offering of resistance between two consecutive layers, which reduces the fluid motion towards the plate. So this property which offers this resistance is known as viscosity. So here, as we have explained here, that for a vertical gap of dy distance, the change in velocity is du. So we have obtained this ratio in terms of derivation, that is du upon dy, that is also known as velocity gradient or shear strain. So this is the velocity gradient, and this resistance is, this phenomena of viscous resistance is more explained with the shear stress. So viscosity together with the relative velocity causes the shear stress, and here the shear stress is proportional to the rate of change of velocity with respect to y. So tau is proportional to du upon dy. So we are getting tau is equal to mu du upon dy, where mu is dynamic viscosity, and in case of kinematic viscosity, it is the ratio between dynamic viscosity and density of fluid. So nu is equal to mu upon rho. Apart from that, based on this proportionality, we have another law, which is Newton's law of viscosity. It states that the shear stress on the fluid element layer is directly proportional to rate of shear strain. So tau is equal to mu du upon dy, and here fluids which obey the above relation are Newtonian fluids, and fluids which do not obey this relation are non-Newtonian fluids. And here we have discussed about the units of viscosity. We have two types, dynamic viscosity and second is kinematic viscosity. So the dynamic viscosity has the unit as Newton second meter inverse 2, and CGS unit is 1 poise, and relation is given here, we have proved in previous lecture. For kinematic viscosity, the unit is meter square per second, and its CGS unit is Sto. Then we classified the fluids, the ideal fluid which is having zero shear stress, then the real fluid which possesses viscosity. Newtonian and non-Newtonian are already explained. Ideal plastic fluid, that is having shear stress value more than the yield value, and the shear stress is proportional to rate of shear strain. Then we studied about the surface tension. So it is defined as the tensile force acting on a surface of a liquid in contact with a gas, or on the surface between two immiscible liquids, such that the contact surface behaves like a membrane under the tension. So here we have taken three different molecules, A, B and C, where A is fully submerged in the liquid, so it is having equal molecular forces acting on it, so the net force is 0 on this. However, the molecules which are present on the surface, that is free surface, here the force is unbalanced and some downward net force is acting on these two molecules, so here some form of tension is occurring. That's why this phenomena is called as surface tension. So we have done up to this in our previous lecture, and now we will derive the formula for surface tension. So first, there are two types that we are going to derive for surface tension. First type is for liquid droplet. So first let us draw a droplet. So this is the droplet we are having. And we will focus on half portion of this first to analyze the forces. So first we will focus on surface tension part. So as we all are aware that it is a tensile force, so it is acting in this way. So this is surface tension present in this case. And there will be presence of other forces, that is pressure force on this droplet. So pressure forces will be like this. Let us say it to be P. So this will be pressure force. So now let's derive the formula for this. Let us say that sigma is equal to surface tension R is the radius, P is the pressure intensity, inside the bubble, and this will be in excess to the atmospheric pressure, and D will be diameter of bubble. So now the formula will be the surface tension force will be equal to the pressure force under equilibrium condition. So here is equal to pressure force. So in such case, if you recall, surface tension is the force per unit length. So the force will be sigma into pi into D, and the pressure force will be equal to P into pi by 4 D square. So pi will go, D will go, and here we will have sigma is equal to P into D divided by 4. And if we require to obtain the value of pressure in this case, then pressure will be equal to 4 sigma upon D. So this will be the formula for pressure. Now we have derived this entire formula for liquid droplet. Now we will calculate the same thing, that will be a second case for hollow bubble. So in this case, when we were having a droplet, it was full of liquid. Now when we have a bubble, then outside as well as inside of the bubble we have air. So if we roughly draw that thing here, then let's say that this is a bubble. Then what happens in case of bubble, that air is already outside the bubble, but as well as inside the bubble we have air or other gas. So here in this case, as the surface tension occurs across the surface, here we are having now two sides of surfaces which are facing the surface tension force, that is over here, that is on inside part as well as outside part. So what we need to do is there will be a two-folded value of the surface tension force. That's why if you see, the same formula is going to be used, with the only difference that here the surface perimeter will be twice, that is sigma will remain as it is. In this case, sigma multiplied by 2 into pi into D is equal to P multiplied by pi by 4 D square. So finally what we are going to get here is P is equal to 8 sigma divided by D. You can check it by yourself. So we have derived the formula for surface tension in this case. So let's copy this part. Let's copy this part into our main presentation. So we have completed the derivation part for surface tension. Now we will begin our new topic, that is capillarity or capillary action. So capillarity, it is defined as a phenomena of a rise or fall of liquid surface in a small tube relative to the adjacent general level of liquid when the tube is held vertically in the liquid. The rise of liquid surface is known as capillary rise, while the fall of liquid surface is known as capillary depression. So in a very simple language, if we need to understand this part, that what is this, then let's say we are having a vessel like this, and let's assume it to be completely filled with water. And let's put a small tube inside this like this. Okay, let us say that this is our tube. So what is going to happen in this case is there will be a rise of water in this tube, considering it to be a water. So this is known as capillary rise, and in some fluids this will be below the general level of liquid in the whole vessel. So that will be known as capillary depression, and it is expressed in terms of cm or mm of liquid. That is, this will be expressed as cm or mm of liquid, and it depends on specific weight of liquid, diameter of tube, and surface tension of liquid. So we haven't gone through the definition of specific weight. It is quite straightforward that specific weight is equal to density of fluid divided by density of water. Okay, so you can note down this definition. So the quantity of capillary rise or capillary depression depends on specific weight, diameter of tube, and surface tension of liquid. So now we are going to derive this formula of capillary rise and capillary fall respectively. So we will draw it in a proper manner for derivation purpose. This will be our main vessel, and inside this vessel we will put a glass tube. Let's assume that we are having a water. So let's say that this is the general level of water we are having, and here we will draw a common free surface over here in this way, and inside this we are having this part as water. Okay, so now based on the specific weight of liquid, the diameter of tube and surface tension, let us say that here we are observing a capillary rise. In this way. Okay, and here there are few important things that are present over here. Is first, this will be the diameter, then this height, will be h, that is capillary rise, and there will be some angle which is present over here between this free surface and the tube. So this angle will be theta, and it is applicable on both the sides. This will be the angle theta. Okay, so now consider a glass tube here, that is shown over here, that consider a glass tube of diameter d opened at both ends, and it is inserted in the liquid, say water. Then the liquid will rise above the level of liquid will rise in the tube above the level of tube, and as we have mentioned here, h is the height of liquid in the tube. So what happens here, that under the equilibrium condition, here the weight of liquid height h is balanced by the force at the surface of the liquid in the tube. So what they are trying to say here, that surface tension force is equal to weight force. So let's say sigma to be the surface tension of liquid, and theta to be angle of contact between liquid and glass tube. So So now we will do remaining derivation on our virtual board. So as we were discussing about weight surface tension force, is equal to weight force. So in such case, the surface tension force will be equal to sigma value multiplied by pi into d. But here is something which is very different in this case. If we go back here, then just wait. If we carefully observe the forces which are present here, see, the weight force will be obviously in the downward direction in this way. This will be the weight force in downward direction. However, the surface tension force which is balancing this weight is the part of surface tension force will be in vertical direction only. So here it will be like sigma into pi d. That is fine, but here the component of this force is only cos theta. So this we need to take care. So here you can see this carefully, that W will be in downward and the upward force that will be part of total surface tension force will be sigma pi d into cos theta. So here if we go back, then we need to add cos theta and regarding the weight force, it will be m into g. That is our standard formula, but here instead of mass we can write down rho into volume into g. So here rho into, instead of volume we can write down A into H into G. Why A into H? Because A is the cross sectional area of tube and H is the capillary rise. So here sigma into pi into d into cos theta. So there are few things which we will eliminate here. So sigma into pi d cos theta is equal to rho into pi by 4 d square hg. So what will happen here? Let's eliminate pi and d here. So the value of capillary rise that we are going to evaluate here is equal to 4 sigma cos theta divided by rho G D. So this will be our formula in this case. 4 sigma cos theta upon rho JD. Now we are going to derive the formula for capillary fall. Let's say we are having a tube over here, the same tube of diameter D. Here we will be having a different liquid. Let's say we are having a mercury. And here the fall will be like this. So the level of mercury inside the tube will be lower than the general level of liquid in the vessel, and that is of mercury. So here the pressure here the forces will be slightly different. Here obviously this will be our surface tension sigma on both the sides, and the angle will be this theta, and here also the angle will be theta. This will be sigma. Here see, there is no weight present over here, so instead of weight we will have another force, that is pressure force. So pressure force will be acting in this way. So this will be the pressure force. If it is not visible, then let me use another color. This will be the pressure force. So here this will be our capillary fall, that is up to this in case of mercury. So here for derivation purpose, pressure force is equal to surface tension force. Okay, so here its formula will be P into pi by 4 d square is equal to surface tension force will be again sigma pi d cos theta. Now instead of pressure force we can write down, instead of pressure we can write down rho G and here the height is h multiplied by pi by 4 and d square is equal to sigma into pi b into cos theta. So b will get cancelled, pi will go, other things will remain as it is, so h will be equal to 4 sigma cos theta divided by rho gd. So if you see, both equations are same for capillary rise as well as capillary fall. Okay, so now let's copy this into our main slides. So this is the derivation of surface tension, derivation of capillary fall and capillary rise. Now our next theory is compressibility and bulk modulus. Compressibility is the reciprocal of bulk modulus of elasticity, that is K. Compressibility is reciprocal of bulk modulus of elasticity K, which is defined as the ratio of compressive stress to volumetric strain. So we will try to understand this in detail with the derivation. So for a while what you will remember is bulk modulus of elasticity K is defined as the ratio of compressive stress to volumetric strain. So let's derive this formula for bulk modulus first. So here to get the understanding of, to understand this bulk modulus, we will take a piston cylinder arrangement. So this is the initial condition of piston cylinder. Here initially the volume here is, let's say this volume is V, and Let's consider this to be the final condition. So we have observed a reduction in volume as this much. So this is the decrease in volume which we have observed, dV. Why? Because we have applied here the pressure P. So because of that, what happens, that what is exactly happening, this is a compression process. So pressure is increasing inside this arrangement and volume is decreasing in the cylinder. So here let's say V is the volume of gas inside the cylinder, then we have P is the pressure of gas when volume is V. Then we have final volume as equal to V plus it should be minus is equal to V minus dV, and final pressure is equal to P plus dP. So we have increase in pressure as dP and decrease in volume is equal to dV. So the bulk modulus K is equal to compressive stress, that is increase in pressure, that is compressive stress, to the volumetric strain. So increase in pressure is equal to dP divided by volumetric strain will be written as dV upon V. Why negative sign? Because there is a decrease in volume. So that is equal to minus V dP over dV. That is the value of K. And now the value of compressibility is equal to 1 over k. So let's copy this part. So here we have derived the formula for compressibility and bulk modulus. Now we will discuss about another term, that is vapor pressure. That is vapor pressure. So first let's understand the vaporization. So a change from a liquid state to gaseous state is known as vaporization. That is, we already know the change from liquid to gas is known as vaporization process, and it occurs because of continuous escaping of molecules through free surface of liquid. Now what is the meaning of this? Let's say that we take a basic example here of a boiling water. And let's say that we are providing a heat from the bottom. Let's say here we are providing heat from the bottom. So what happens here in this case is the molecules which are generated, so there will be a transfer, there will be a change from liquid to vapor. So molecules will get, the gaseous molecules will be generated over here at the free surface, and then they will try to escape from here. Okay, so that is called as continuous escaping of molecules through the free surface of liquid. Now consider a liquid in which is confined in the closed vessel. So let me first erase this part. So we will take a case in which the liquid is confined in the closed vessel. And here it is kept in this way. Now let's say the temperature of liquid is 20 degrees Celsius at atmospheric pressure. So the condition here is 20 degrees Celsius and 1 bar. Now obviously let's consider this to be a water, then it will vaporize at 100 degrees Celsius. So when the vaporization takes place, the molecules escape from the free surface of liquid. So we have already discussed in previous figure that molecules will try to escape in this way. From the free surface. So this will be the free surface below which there is only liquid. So they will try to escape in this way. And here this vapor molecules get accumulated in a space between free surface and top of the vessel. So as we have shown here that these molecules will gather over here. All molecules will gather over here because the vessel is closed. And this accumulated vapors exert a pressure on the liquid surface. So they will exert pressure on the liquid surface. And this pressure which is being exerted by vapor on the free surface of liquid is known as vapor pressure of the liquid. So that is the definition of vapor pressure. Our next theory is concept of continuum, but we will continue this topic in our next lecture. So let's quickly revise the topics that we have discussed today. We started with the surface tension, in which here we derived the formula of pressure for liquid droplet and hollow bubble in terms of surface tension sigma. Then we discussed about the capillarity, that is rise or fall of liquid surface in a small tube relative to the adjacent general level of liquid when the tube is held vertically. We also discussed about specific weight formula, and we proved the formula of capillary rise as well as capillary depression in two different cases. Here it will be water, and in the fall it will be a mercury. Then we discussed about compressibility and bulk modulus. We proved the formula for the same, and finally we discussed about the vapor pressure. So this is the end of today's lecture. I hope you enjoyed learning the fundamental topics of fluid mechanics. Thank you for watching this video.